Mr. Connor is a businessman, and so he has all sorts of guests from all different parts of not only the country, but sometimes the world.
Indeed.
And so it's very, very interesting to be able to meet so many new people and be able to show them what life is like for us here in Indiana in 1836.
I started with Hearthside in 1984. Why is the Hearthside program such an important one for Connor Prairie? I think it's because it offers so much. True, it offers to only 12 guests at a time, but unlike Prairie, unlike Headless Horseman that are so large and rather independent for the guests, this one is a very personal and intimate connection with the guests.
Food has changed over the decades and even centuries. For many, many years, millennia, food was a matter of survival. And in the early 19th century, it was still very much that way. Whereas today, we celebrate food much more often. But even back then, we're aware that they used food as a connection point, a way to gather people together, to experience community around food. And they had fancy meals and parties, and that's what we're trying to portray with Hearthside Suppers.
I worked here from the fall of '83 through maybe the summer of '97. The first couple of years, it kind of started out kind of casual. There were wonderful, wonderful people that cooked every day on the grounds. At that time, we pretty much cooked in every home, every day. And so there was a lot of cooking going on, and there were lots of people that really loved doing it. And visitors would say, you know, I want to experience this closer.
I think Hearthside Suppers is a popular event because it provides a unique experience for guests to try recipes and also prepare the food as you would in the 1830s. It's also pretty unique that you get to do it within a house that's about to turn 200 years old as well.
There's about 12 departments that help interpretation put this wonderful program on. Hearthside takes a lot of planning. I know that the program is usually January through March, but we actually start early in planning. Really, we do a debriefing in May as soon as the season's over, the Hearthside program is over, and we start immediately planning.
Behind the scenes, I think, for Hearthside, I think I coined the phrase, it's the hardest work you'll ever love. It is a very unique program. And again, I think it goes back to the fact that it's an intimate program, a close program. You are eye to eye and shoulder to shoulder at the table working with the other participants as well as the 4 interpreters that are assisting you at the kitchen table. When you go to a restaurant, you may be served a fancy meal. It's a wonderful meal, you enjoy it, and then you get up and you go. But this one has so much more to offer than anything else I've ever been to.
Now, there are certain things that we can draw upon from previous years. In fact, I've talked many times about how there's 40 years of planning that has gone in this Hearthside, because we're always building upon what we've learned from previous years.
One of the things that I really enjoy, I've been to a Hearthside dinner, and I really like to see my staff interact with the guests. And so when they take them from the Welcome Center and they walk with their walk down the pathway to the Connor House, my staff really gets in character and to get the guests really involved and also prepared to come into the Connor House and to have this wonderful dinner.
I was able to come Wednesday night to a Hearthside Supper, and we had such a great time. I really enjoyed the staff and the food, and just being a guest was fabulous, and the ambiance. Really loved interacting with the people at the table.
To get that intimate setting with folks for 3+ hours a night is quite an experience you don't get on the grounds typically. You get to learn more about your guests and their experiences that they have, and food is a great important aspect of learning about someone. And there's folks that come year after year. They met at Hearthside together, and they make sure they come every year, which I think is a very special experience that you won't get anywhere else.
Something that I certainly appreciate about Hearthside is how it stretches and grows my skills as a historic interpreter. I know that when I work out on the grounds here throughout the rest of the year, most of my interactions tend to be a little bit shorter. They tend to be between maybe the 5 and 10 minute range. And it's usually with school groups, and sometimes we're focusing more on education. But when I do Hearthside Supper, our interactions are so much longer, and I really get to build a bond with the guests that I'm interacting with.
I cannot speak more highly of our interpretive staff. They're just an amazing group of people to work with, and the camaraderie that they develop throughout this program. Not only are they becoming better interpreters for the grounds, but they're becoming better friends as well. It's the hardest thing our interpretive staff do here at Prairie, but it's also the most rewarding.
You just don't realize things till you experience them. Till you've been in this house with that fire going and the food cooking and the candles going and either the cold air coming across the prairie or the sun setting or seeing the deer out there. You can think you picture it, but you don't till you actually do. And you remember those things. And it puts, especially if you're into history, it puts you back in that time and place. And that's important, I really feel like. And those certainly are times that we need to remember.
It's wonderful to have a big old building that's 200 years old, lit only by candlelight. There's just something very magical about it.